Kilmar Abrego Garcia is in custody in Maryland this morning, seen here hugging his wife before reporting back to an ICE facility in Baltimore. Just days ago, he was released from jail in Tennessee, where he had been detained after being deported to El Salvador in March. We've also learned that he has filed a lawsuit seeking to ensure that he is not removed from the United States as he awaits his proceedings. Joining us now, Maryland Congressman Glenn Ivey, who was at the rally this morning. Hello to you, and thank you for being here. You've been a vocal advocate of Abrego Garcia since the start. Tell me about this morning's decision and his most recent detainment.
Well, I mean, I just think that this is a guy that the Supreme Court said should get his day in court. The Trump administration seems hell-bent on making sure that doesn't happen. So they deported him illegally rather than just admitting that. They said they couldn't bring him back. They finally did bring him back, but under the guise of charging him with federal offenses. Now he's facing the federal offenses, and they're talking about deporting him before he gets his day in court. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense, and it certainly isn't the way the Department of Justice used to handle these kinds of cases, or ICE for that matter.
He maintains his innocence in this case, but the federal government says they have evidence that he was part of a gang. Have you spoken with his attorneys, and do you expect him to continue to fight this case and plead not guilty?
You know, I'm not sure how that's going to play out, and obviously that's a attorney-client privilege conversation that he should only have with his attorneys. But, I think the point is, as the Supreme Court said, he should get his day in court. Whether he's guilty or not isn't based on what Donald Trump says or Kristi Noem says or anybody else. It has to be after a conviction based on the evidence in a court of law beyond a reasonable doubt, with the jury handing the verdict down. And if they deport him to Uganda, he's not going to be able to have that, which is a constitutional guarantee. So I think it's unfortunate that the Trump administration apparently is afraid to take this case to court one way or the other, and they'd rather deport him instead of letting him have that day.
Do you believe if he was released with an ankle monitor or something similar to it, he would be a flight risk?
Well, the judge who released him in Tennessee, a federal judge, by the way, had to make that evaluation, and they made two conclusions. One is that he was not a flight risk. He just sent him back to Maryland so he can stay with his family. The other is that he's not a threat to the public or any individual. So, they don't think he's a public safety risk. They don't think he's a flight risk. That's why they released him. That's why it's an additional level of problem with respect to how ICE is handling this now. He's under the jurisdiction of a federal district court judge. Let that judge manage his conditions of release.
And because of everything you just stated, Congressman, what's your level of concern if he is deported to Uganda for his own safety, given the attention this case has received?
Well, Uganda is a totalitarian regime. I don't think it's particularly well known for, taking care of people who are incarcerated over there. And it's certainly a long ways away from his family. And there's no way it would be easy to get him back under those circumstances. We don't necessarily know all of the details of the arrangements that the Trump administration has reached with this dictator in Uganda, just like we don't know what all the details were with the arrangements they've made with El Salvador to send people to jail there. But, I think it's unfair to send somebody to jail who hasn't been convicted of a crime here, there, or anywhere. And, that's what the Trump administration seems to be trying to do. So let's move past that. Let's follow the dictates of the courts here in the United States. Let's have the day in court. Let's let a judge and jury decide, and his fate will be determined in that way. That's the constitutional way. That's the American way.
Federal prosecutors say they have the evidence. We shall see as this case plays out. We do expect to hear from Abrego Garcia's attorney here in just a few moments, so we're following that this morning. Congressman Glenn Ivey, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up next, remembering the life.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.